And now we are going to find out about Catalanya's encounter with inhabitants of the African continent and how she surprisingly became the carrier of good news. And you had time?
Yes, so we started on the second day at noon, so about 12 o'clock exactly.
So, and then the journey started.
Then the journey started, yes.
And I'm always curious about all of the topics that have been worked on or not worked on. Or what did you see first? What was there first?
Exactly. So for me, I felt really strongly that I shouldn't have expectations. Everything that comes is right. It is also a bit similar in a hypnosis. You might go into it with certain feelings about things you maybe wish to look at, or I don't know. But in the end, it's all irrelevant because what is most important for you right now will come. And you will be able to work, or at least look at it.
So it isn't really guided, like a hypnosis? But you are laying there and waiting for something to come.
Yes and no. Of course, you prepare yourself mentally. You adjust to it. I also did a little meditation before, for example, and I tried to open up my heart before it all started. To be able to look at everything that is important. And then Alma prepared everything so beautifully. Just the tablet alone, where the medicine was on, decorated with beautiful flowers and candle lights. And yes, and then it was also special. In my case, because I was allowed to have the ceremony alone with Alma. Often you have group ceremonies too, which was also important for us, in hindsight, knowing that. There was also a nice mattress prepared with a blanket and a pillow, so I felt really comfortable. She lit a little fire as well.
Fireplace?
Fireplace, thank you, exactly. And when she lit it, it became a very, very warm, beautiful atmosphere. We had a nice breakfast before that, and also went for a walk. So you walk into the ceremony with a very pleasant feeling, and then you drink the first glass of the medicine. Interestingly, many people say that it is not so tasty. At my first ceremony, I found it totally delicious. It was kind of a familiar feeling. I often drink stinging nettle tea when I'm working, and I found it to taste quite similar. A bit more earthy, perhaps. I was not getting what everyone's problem was. I found it pretty enjoyable. And then my teeth started to rattle. What Alma told me was that often you first have a certain cleansing process in any physical form. So for me, it was teeth rattling.
Is it like when you feel cold?
Exactly. A bit stronger, maybe. I definitely had some jaw pain afterwards. Some people have to throw up, but I didn't have to go through that. I had a short moment where I thought I felt a bit queasy, but that went away in the next moment. So you really don't have to be afraid of that. The ceremony isn't going to be just throwing up the whole time or something. And then I had a very nice, and that was actually the parallel, also from the feeling and the pictures to the hypnosis. Then I was suddenly in a jungle. Later, I found out that it must have been somewhere in Africa. And I was standing on a pedestal alone, even though I actually wanted to retreat. and all of a sudden there was a sort of footbridge attached to the pedestal, and after that the pedestal ended, so it went down afterwards.
Into a void?
Yes, well, there was the jungle, and this pedestal stood on stilts, so I couldn't jump down there. That would have been too high.
And did you see it quite realistically?
Yes. So it really feels like a dream. So you feel it, you're there, you feel the movement. But effectively, my body was lying on the mattress.
And you knew that you were lying on the mattress?
Precisely. A bit like a daydream. Further into the ceremony, suddenly a huge lioness walked up to me, and I thought to myself, oh my God. At first I just felt panic. I thought, what am I supposed to do now? This crazy, impressive, graceful, also somehow what you associate with dangerous animal, runs straight at me, but in a very calm way and with a very loving energy. And then I knew, it's okay, and she then just lied down right next to me. And I started petting her.
Were you afraid?
When I started petting her, I knew she belongs to me. It's all good. And then I started walking, and all of a sudden, I look around, and there was a huge pack of lionesses. I can't say how many, but it was a whole pack, and only lionesses. So, no lion. Then we ran away together to a cliff. And that sounds funny now, but you can really imagine it. Like in The Lion King, it was a little bit like that. This scenario, the vastness in Africa, the jungle in the background, and this cliff with all the lionesses all around me. Also with me was an African tribe.
So native people?
Warriors? But I knew they would support me. I knew they were good people here and that they would back me up. Exactly. That's how you can describe the feeling. And then I went to every lion. I thanked them. I went to all the warriors, thanked them, and I knew exactly that these are my people. So in an earlier life, it was probably a part of me, a part of my people, so to speak.
You felt that?
Yes, I knew they belonged to me and that they fought for me in some way. So for something good.
Were you their leader, or what was your role?
Yes, exactly. And the interesting thing was that Alma in parallel, so she was also in the room and accompanied me, but I didn't speak or I didn't tell her anything because it was all happening inside of me. During my exchange with Alma after the ceremony, she told me that at first she also saw an African warrior tribe, and she also saw me on a pedestal as a queen. So that in some way I have also reflected this role as a leader. I was a warrior or a leader, but one who didn't want to fight.
A peaceful leader.
Exactly.
And Alma saw it in the same ceremony?
Yes.
In a kind of meditation? In a transmission?
Exactly. So she didn't take any medicine, but still was able to build a strong connection to me. And it was so interesting because she actually then somehow saw the same scenario as me. So the jungle and that kind of thing, also in Africa. And it was really exciting that we were allowed to see the same thing.
And why did you see that?
Now that's a good question. I think that it was supposed to show me that I do have this leading role. To take people along, to inspire people for something good.
And what about Africa? Why did you get pictures of Africa?
That is also a good question. It actually accompanied me a lot, even before the ceremony. So I've been meditating since I've been doing hypnosis, really quite a lot, and pretty intensively, and I have a very good access to me now. And in those meditations, the topic of Africa has accompanied me again and again. I saw a leader in one of my meditations. She was dark-skinned and also very feminine, yet still radiated such a strong charisma. A woman with a lot of inner strength, but still in a soft, sensitive, loving way. So this topic of Africa has always been present. I also had, for the people that know what a vision board is, it's a sort of vision wall with wishes, manifestations that you really visualize and look at each day, for example, in the bathroom or when getting out of bed, so that you manifest those wishes and wish them into reality, so to speak, through looking at them every single day. Also, before the ceremony, I have already wished for my vision board, in addition to, of course, wishes for myself, health, to having great people in life and so on. I have there already made the wish to build a school in Africa.
Oh, so that was your wish that you were already had before you came to the ceremony?
Exactly. I had already bought my board. I had already looked for pictures to print out on the internet to really visualize them, which is an important thing for a vision board. Pictures with happy children, and one really said, School for Africa. So this topic of Africa was present again and again in my meditations. And also in my dancing, which just occurred to me again. I used to dance salsa and bachata, which is Latin American, and I have now switched to kizomba since September.
That sounds a little bit African.
Exactly, and kizomba has the origin in Africa and is a partner dance from Africa. I'm immersed in African culture there as well, and it was all before the ceremony. And then this picture got shown to me, but it wasn't really about that in the first ceremony.
So you just got shown pictures of Africa, like a movie trailer.
Exactly, like a trailer. After that, the picture was gone again, and I had to go to the bathroom. Of course, you can't run a marathon there, but you can just get up and say, I would like to go to the bathroom now. Maybe you're a little shaky on your feet. But Alma was next to me all the time, of course, and then quickly accompanied me to the toilet.
And then 1 or 2 hours had already passed? How long was that?
I have no feeling of time at all. Honestly, I have no idea. It's actually like in a dream, right? So you just don't have any feeling of time. And yes. And then Alma asked me, do you want to do it again? Do you want to take a second sip? To intensify the whole thing. Because I had already noticed I wasn't where I should be yet. And then I drank again a second time, and that time it was no problem at all. It was very pleasant, it was all good.
It tasted good?
Yes, everything was great. And then, yes, how do I describe it now? It was definitely a more intense experience. I have to say that I had the feeling once or twice before that I was a little more open to the spiritual world. Because I sometimes felt certain beings in the room, energies, old spirits, if there were any stories in old buildings, whether it was good energy or bad energy.
You mean from the deceased who used to live there?
Yes, exactly. And then I had the experience that Mother Ayahuasca was able to speak through me, through my body. So, verbally, actually, and she could say something to Alma. So, my task in this first ceremony was to convey a certain message to Alma, which Mother Ayahuasca tried to convey to her before. But Alma couldn't really accept it before through her ceremonies. But maybe the next step was for a different person to say this to her.
So you were like a mouthpiece for someone else, in this case, for the plant.
Yep, exactly.
How did it reveal itself? How do you notice that?
So she first spoke to me. She prepared me briefly and said that she had to convey an important message today, and she would like to do that through me. That's why she needed my help through my body so that I can convey it to her. So she really gets the message.
In German, basically.
Yeah, in German, exactly. In human form, almost. And yeah, and that was our pact. The pact was, when I had my eyes closed, she was definitely inside of me, and she spoke through me. I gesticulated. I could also get up. I also bowed down in front of Alma, out of gratitude and love. But that was actually the plant that could make itself visible through my body and could also express itself verbally. And my spirit was present. I can't say to 100% that I was in my body, but I can't say that I saw my body from the outside either. But it felt like I was outside of my body. But as soon as I opened my eyes, I was in my body again. So that was definitely something. It probably sounds a little bit, when you hear it, a little bit difficult to understand.
Yeah, it's a bit spooky when you hear that for the first time.
Exactly, but it was actually a nice feeling because you never had a loss of control. So I never had the feeling that I had no control over the situation or somehow had to worry about it.
That would have been a disaster for you if you had a loss of control.
Yes, exactly. No, but when you hear it like that, you probably have the feeling that you have no more power over your body or something.
That you become scared, and that wasn't the case?
Absolutely not. As soon as I opened my eyes, Shisoldu told me again and again at the beginning, when you open your eyes, then you, Katalanya, are speaking with Alma, and when you close your eyes, then I, Mother Ayahuasca, am speaking with Alma.
She told you that very clearly?
She told me that, yes. And sometimes, actually, I was having a bit of fun with it. And I wanted to talk with Mother Ayahuasca directly because I wanted to talk to her privately. I pulled the blanket over my head so that I could open my eyes and then I could talk to the plant. And when I pulled the blanket down again and closed my eyes, then she could talk to Alma again. And the wonderful thing is, for which I am also incredibly grateful to this day, I can't even express in words how grateful I am for it, because in general, I've always been someone who loves to express gratitude. I've said thank you to people 5 times, and they probably already fed up with it. And they said, hey, it's enough, we know that you liked it. Or I don't know. But that has always been something that has given me a lot of joy. Just to say to random strangers, hey, you have beautiful hair, or you're wearing a really cool t-shirt, for example. That's why this ceremony was extremely fulfilling for me. because the plant could, through me, through my body, show gratitude towards Alma and thank her for her work.
Ah, that was the message.
That's right. And it was such a nice feeling because in some way that was myself and I was allowed to express myself there. But the words were very clearly from the plant. I said, okay, I'm going to do it now. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And I was also allowed to say for Mother Ayahuasca how great Alma is doing everything. Not just that she does it, but Mother Ayahuasca wanted to tell her very clearly how well she does everything.
Dass sie das ganz toll genau so macht, also wie sie ihre Zeremonien aufbaut, den Ablauf,
how she structures her ceremonies.
Der Zeremonien, wie ich auch schon gesagt habe, dass ich es total schön
that,
finde, dass der
like I
erste
also
Tag
said
keine
before,
Zeremonie
at
war,
first day of
sondern erst mal
arrival,
ankommen,
there isn't
reden,
already a ceremony taking
was
place,
Schönes essen,
that you arrive
genießen,
first, talk a bit,
runterkommen,
eat something nice,
dass
enjoy
sie
and
das genau
unwind,
richtig
that
macht,
she is
so wie
doing
sie
it
es
in the
macht und
exactly
mit so
right
viel
way,
Liebe und
with so much
Leidenschaft, auch
love
vom
and
Essen
passion.
her, was
Also
Alma,
regarding the food
vorbereitet
that
hat,
Ilma prepared,
für mich jetzt
in this
dem
case for
Fall als
myself.
Gast, man hat das wirklich, also gute Lebensmittel.
They
und
were
man
good
hat wirklich
ingredients.
dieses,
And you could feel
jedes
every little
kleine
detail
Detail,
in which
wo
Alma
sie ein
put
Stückchen
a little
Liebe von
bit
sich
of her
reingegeben
love.
hat, das hat man richtig spüren dürfen. Und da wollte Mutter Ayahuasca ihr ganz
So
klar
Mother Ayahuasca
sagen,
wanted me to tell her
wie
how
dankbar sie
grateful
dafür
she
ist,
is
dass
that
sie
she
das so
does it
macht
the way
und
she does,
dass sie das
and
immer
that
noch
is a
voll so
wonderful
macht. Und
way.
das war so lustig,
And it
weil,
was so
wie
funny
gesagt,
because,
normalerweise sind es ja
as I said,
Gruppenzeremonien, wo du eigentlich
normally
dann versuchen
they are group
solltest,
ceremonies where you should actually try not to express yourself so loudly because you could disturb the other participants. And it was so liberating for me because I'm such a chatterbox, as you can hear now, that I was allowed to live out what I felt.
There is still room for some questions later.
Yes, well, hopefully. And it was so funny because I was alone. And Alma, what was used to was actually that everyone goes into their own inner process and works for 6 hours, or however many hours, in silence. I was talking to Alma and told her, "You're doing it wonderful, you're doing it exactly right."
So the plant was talking.
The plant, precisely. And the interesting thing was, I really had my eyes closed. I didn't see, is she sitting, standing, is she doing anything? But I felt that she wasn't listening to me. And then I sat up.
Did you sit up yourself?
So my body sat up. More specifically, Mother Ayahuasca wanted me to sit up.
So how is it? Do you feel remote controlled?
No, it's like when I say, I'm standing up now.
Ja, also das war schon, ja, als wäre man einfach jetzt in diesem, ja, das hat sich nicht befremdend angefühlt. Das war
It
schon,
didn't feel alienating. I would still control my body, but it's not me talking, because someone else has a message. It's just like a channel. It's hard to describe.
I sometimes hear it from shamans who work in South America. They sometimes too talk about plants, or plants talk about them, or about someone else through the shaman.
Ah, yes, and what I just want to say very briefly is that I sat up, so my body sat up, and then we just felt that Alma didn't listen to us. So by we, I mean me and Mother Ayahuasca. And then I said very clearly again, Alma. Then Alma said, yes. And you could really tell how startled she was. Like, huh? How? Do you mean me?
She didn't listen again.
Yes. Then I said, Alma, I'm talking to you. Because she, of course, was also focused on herself. Then I said, you do it wonderfully, and I love the way you do these ceremonies. So I spoke because of the plant.
Did she understand that the plant was speaking through you at that moment?
Yes and no. Zrania, because I also said it. I said, I'm just talking through Katalanya with you. I am Mother Ayahuasca, and I am speaking through Katalanya with you, so listen to me, I mean it. Mother Ayahuasca also bowed down in front of Alma through my body and said from the bottom of her heart, "Thank you. You're doing it wonderfully. You're doing it exactly right, with so much love." And I was really just allowed to express this gratitude and this appreciation. And looking back, that was a really, really wonderful experience that I was allowed to have. Alma also couldn't really accept it in the beginning. I could feel that she was having a hard time because she was like, "That's not my ceremony, it's Katalanya ceremony." Hello. No, stop. This isn't about me. But it was still also my ceremony, because I was able to take important take away from the ceremony as well. So besides the fact that I actually experienced this channeling, a very intense experience, which of course is also a great gift, I still have to find out how I can use it again though.
Does that interest you?
Yes, I found it really lovely.
Did it interest you before as well?
Yes, and it just crossed my mind that as a teenager, I often watched a series by a woman who channeled spirits so that the living can say goodbye again or find peace. I don't even know what it's called anymore, but it's an American series too. In fact, the topics, now that I'm talking about them, I realise they have been accompanying me for a long time. And what I was able to take away from the first ceremony was, of course, the topic of appreciation, which I also want to transport, for example, now in our corporate context. It has always been important to me to express appreciation. I have also always received feedback from our employees. So we have our own company, and I am in personnel management and have employee conversations. And they say to me that they enjoy the appreciation for them being expressed. And everything they do isn't taken for granted. And that is something that I want to convey as well. Appraisal, especially in a professional context, is simply neglected too much. And this is such an important issue for every individual, for every employee, for oneself. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to be appreciated, wants to be seen, wants to get the recognition they deserve for the things they did. And it's irrelevant if someone is the housekeeper or the manager or in logistics. It doesn't matter, because everyone has their gear in the big working machine.
That's what made you really aware of that?
Totally. That this is simply a topic that I want to convey even more to the outside and integrate it even more in my life. Although I have actually already integrated it strongly in my life. But rather to share this sensitivity with others, to be able to speak it out loud. Not just to think it, or what we do very often, to say it to other people, like, that employee is doing it really well, she is really good, and I'm glad that we have her. But who is going to tell her? No one. And I think that that is a very big problem in our work life, that appreciation is shown to little. Because you're scared that if you show that appreciation, then everyone wants more salary. That isn't the point. The people want to be seen. And that was a big takeaway from my first ceremony.
And then the ceremony was over. Were you able to talk about it after, or was it too late?
No, we went downstairs and I was so hungry. I'm telling you, I was starving. I ate like I was a combine. I think I ate enough for 3 people. So I had such a hunger and appetite, and the food tasted so good. And then we just talked about the ceremony. And yes, of course, it was totally moving for both of us. Both for Alma and for me. We were both totally flabbergasted for the first half hour. Both of us were sitting there, and both of us had to process what had just happened. Because she also said, in other ceremonies, it's not about her. So she also had a hard time accepting it, this appreciation, because she thought all the time, but that's not mine, but Katalanya ceremony. But I still got my message.
And you now had the opportunity at the next ceremony. Then it was really about you.
Exactly. And that was also a nice thing, because Mother Ayahuasca told me during the first ceremony, she said at the end, "Don't worry, your ceremony is tomorrow." She really said that to me, like that. And then I knew, okay, so no stress.
Did she say that in the beginning?
No, somewhere near the end, because I was thinking, what's going to come next, and noticed it's actually coming to an end. We are through for now, and I also didn't know what it was supposed to do. And I got pretty tired. I think I fell asleep. Then day 2 started.
And in the third part, we will hear how Katalanya learns about her life's task and how everyday life throws its net over all of her experiences.